You know, I was thinking to myself, and I was thinking, what if I'd made money through the YouTubes? And truthfully, it is an ethical question. It's not a matter of how. It's a matter of why. Anyway, this is Gaming Little Plays for free on the free website of freedom, where we fight the Nazis for freedom, relatively, especially for your, I mean, you know, they're a-holes. You know that. I don't need to explain why. Back to episode 5, floor 2, or when I get there. You know the protocol, right? In this level, there will be things. I want to imagine someone doing a walkthrough of all these levels and having a separate picture that's not just the map for all of them. It's like the ultimate artist test, where you wonder about the you know, there's a reason we don't produce paintings on an assembly line. Which is why you have these janky thumbnails instead. They're not janky, they're just, they're more like, what do you call those things when you write an essay with a thesis and you have, like, the cover page? There's a particular word for the cover that I use when they ask me to, because it looks neater than stapling shit together. Anyway, that's what that is in terms of my thumbnails. So that you don't just see running text or images right on the front. As well as not spoiling. I believe I mentioned that. Now I say it in a different way. Just like this game is saying the game in a different way. You know, it's like having an overly long epic. It just keeps going and going. Things get remade. Some things are very the same, other things are not. That's just the video game way. I think some people resent that because the 90s was a very innovative time for video games, because they were still really not just new, but like a completely different thing. Like, there really wasn't anything like that. I mean, you had, like, pinball machines and arcades that, you know, the 1800s and 1900s that weren't just, you know, training for arrows. And it's not like there weren't games. I mean, there was plenty of board games that could have indicated what a video game could be like. I don't just mean the ones you're all familiar with. I just mean not to this extent. And, like, after a while, at least in the last dozen years, you know, innovation is now left up to the individuals or the indie scene. I do visit the indie gaming websites from time to time. Although it seems like itch.io is a good center for that stuff. But, you know, just to get some ideas. Not that they're all worth my time, but it's interesting. Kind of reminds me of the old internet, so it's the closest, the closest thing we have to GeoCities now is that, at least in my view. I think the closest most people would think is just whatever people do with Tumblr or whatnot, or just blogs. But, no, this is more true to life. No. Anyway, the point I'm saying is that the innovations just kept going and going until finally we approached a part where we reached most of the ideas of video games. I feel like that's where we're at. I mean, we have VR, probably, as well as augmented reality, but those are still just a new format as opposed to a new type of game. So it's not like you couldn't make new games. I just feel like all the good ideas were made while we're going from 2D to 3D, because that shit just hadn't really been done to the incredible extent, just with low-end simulation alone. Anyway, yeah, because of that, I feel like people have dropped off trying to be like what Nintendo does, be like, okay, I have to innovate out every possible opportunity, even like this owns the game. Like, Nintendo hires different people to work on their games and just relegates their older ones to doing other shit. And the reason is because they're trying to make things new and unique and add intellectual property. Of course, there's that. For me, though, I realize that since we're kind of, I guess, in a dry spell, not just because of creativity, there's a lot of reasons for that right now. There's a lot of stuff people mill over and say, this is boring and tedious. I mean, yeah, it can be, but in a certain light, a lot of hobbies are that. And you're just seeing it for what it actually is. That's what dedication and passion fill the void for. Like this. Just like that. Although, how much of it do I really have? No. Worst case scenario, I run out of energy. I like doing this. So yeah, I'll do a lot of level mods and ROM hacks, even if they're all the same. Oh my god! Alright, back to the game. This is the one area of Episode 5 I had trouble with, because there's basically a firing squad of blue shirts. Eventually I'll do this after like half a dozen tries. And the strategy is that I try to kill off one side. I was too far away, and they don't... Since the enemy doesn't run out of ammo, they eventually win. Yeah, that strategy doesn't work either. I can't even just strafe through that necessarily. I mean, you could, but if you're able to do that, do it. If you don't want to kill everyone, because there is stuff when you go through there. But there will be a couple blue shirts at the end, too. Yeah, see, I just tried to run through that, and that didn't work. On lower difficulties, you could probably do that without a big sweat, of course, because there'll be less dudes. So yeah, just shoot off one set, and then it'll be easier to shoot off the other set. Just go in and out. And also, go back for supplies if you can. Mainly ammo and health. Because that is a big problem. Even worse is because they're behind those barrels, I can't get them the other way, and also, I can't pick up the ammo that they drop. So I'm doubly fucked. Also, I think there might have been some slight lagging and more of that invisible sprite limit nonsense, too. Just a little bit. Yeah. Oh, I actually made it through this time, but I died anyway. That could have worked. I could have just gotten that stuff and tried going back the other way, but no, that's a really bad idea, because then you swim across halfway, and you have to... If you can't swim across halfway back, you're fucked. Because you think to yourself, oh yeah, I made it across here once, but it's like, yeah, just because you cross the ocean halfway, while that is a motivator for going forward as opposed to backward, that doesn't mean you used half of your energy or resources. You could have used a lot of it, so you could be stuck. I know, applying math to idioms. That's what it's all about. I think I'd try to apply a basic algebraic formula to the whole woodchuck nonsense. You know, how much would a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck would? I made a pseudo math formula where it just addresses the question as variables. So that if someone actually wanted to find out in a science lab or something, they could find out. I feel like that might be something the Mythbusters did, but it's not really a myth. It's just a saying where someone wants to try stuff. Which they're allowed to do. It's science, but it's not really a myth. It's just a thing people say because of wordplay. It's not a myth. Anyway. So some of them died. I'm going back for goodies. Oh yeah, this is... You always think about why there's so much ammo level until you realize what is about to happen to your tiny little ass. I still say there should be a mod of this that is set in, you know, Soviet Russia during that whole mess. Anyway. Oh yeah, it just made me think of Command and Conquer, since in the alternate timeline, you know, fucked up. something stopped Hitler before he was able to come to power. Instead, World War II was fought on Russia, which kind of makes sense. So, RDSs on this channel? Maybe. I would lean towards original StarCraft campaign and Warcraft campaigns. Not the World of Warcraft stuff. And not Warcraft 3, necessarily. That would be a little pain-ish for me to do. But RDSs of that ilk, where they have a campaign mode and, you know, the AI and campaign mode is always easier in RDS than trying to do it multiplayer, because we've evolved to the point of Korean speed clicking, and I can't really do that. And having MOBAs replace that kind of screws that up too. But at least we'll have the campaign modes in our hearts. We have Dune 2 to thank for the RTS genre, by the way. Generally. I wish people would go back to that genre as opposed to just remastering Age of Empires. So yeah. I'm not sure how skilled I am at it. But I'm gonna give it the old college try one of these days. I think it's not. I think it's just because of a micromanagement thing. It's not because I don't know what to do. It's just more like, you know, you screw up one way, then everyone screws you up another way. But that's strategy games. In turn-based strategy, I don't have that problem too much. It can still be annoying, or less with soul than a real-time strategy feels. So that's why it's a debated thing. How's that new Advance Wars remake working out, by the way? You know they only did that because of what was it? What's that one thing that the Starforge people did? You know what I'm talking about? It's basically Advance Wars clone, but set in medieval times. Wargroove. Yeah, there we go. It was Wargroove. I think because of the success of Wargroove, they decided to remaster Advance Wars. In fact, that's what I'm noticing with a lot of these remasters, is they're using it to test the waters to see if a new generation of people will play them, so they can remake, or so they can make new content within those games. Or, and here's the other theory. Oh shit, I forgot what the other theory was. What's my second theory of why there's remasters? Oh my god, that's I did this thing where I had the thought in my mind, and because I skipped it over with another thought, I've lost it. It's bad. Alright, so like, something to do with Advance Wars. I think the other reason is just... Is it just for selling? I don't know if it's just for selling. I mean, there is that. Oh, okay, now I remember my other reason. It is related to selling. What it is when something is remade later, or when you have something like, say, Bloodstained, or Mega Man 20, or Mighty Number 9 or something, because a series doesn't continue and some other group wants to pick up on that, the other companies are like, nuh-uh, that's our idea, and then they'll keep going because no one noticed. So, my advice to you is if you want more F-Zero, create more F-Zero-like games, and then maybe Nintendo will get the hint. So, you know, it's a supply and demand thing, obviously, but in an artificial sense. Yeah. So that's why I think they make remasters, is one, so they can resell it for new generations that decide to make new content based on that, and the other is to cover their assholes when fan content rolls around. There you go. I solved the mystery. I think movies are the same way. Except Avengers. That's a whole other can of worms that I can't explain. Thank you for staying tuned to my TED Talk. I'll have you next time when I talk about some other nonsense. I love this free rambling over Wolfenstein 3D. I think I might do it more often. You know, when I come up with something. Alright, bye.